What's up, boys? Hope you're doing well. So this is a little bit of a different style, from what you're used to seeing, but I really just want to focus on getting valuable content out there. So I'm not gonna, try to make it all flashy. I'm not even really, focused on making it look perfect, right? That's why I'm filming here on my laptop camera, okay? So this video is going to be super valuable if you have an attention span. If you actually want to scale your video business, you actually want to start making money. So what's this video about? Well, obviously you can see it's about value-based pricing. So this is how you're going to actually charge more for your video projects. So a lot of y'all are operating under a mindset as in, let's say you want to scale to 10K per month. You can't really do that by, just getting even 10, $1,000 per month clients. That's still, first off, 10 clients you have to manage and also a ton of work. So you have to find a way to actually reduce the amount of work and also charge a lot more in the process. And that's where value-based pricing comes in. So that literally allows you to charge more and do less. So when you can charge more, let's say you have, one client who's paying you 10K per month, that's going to be, you're charging more and you're doing less work versus trying to get, 10 lower paying clients, 10 $1,000 clients per month, right? It's a lot more to manage, it's a lot more work. So when you can use value-based pricing, you can charge more for your clients. This can be invaluable, an invaluable resource if you're trying to charge more for your videos. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. So I guess first off, what is it not? So what is value-based pricing? What should you not do? So it's literally not charging for your time. And as videographers, a lot of us, that's kind of the only way we think. That's how I thought too when I started off. I'm like, should I be charging $25 an hour? Should I be charging $50 an hour? I didn't even know about value-based pricing. So it's not charging for your time and it's not charging for the cost of your gear. So, a lot of you might hop on a call with someone and say, well, this video costs, this much because my gear costs this much and my lighting costs this much. So I really just have to pay back my gear, so that's why I'm charging you this amount. The client doesn't care, and I'll get into that in a minute. But you're not charging for the cost of your gear, and you're not even charging for your skill, right? That's going to be a mindset shift that you're going to have to make. It's like they're not even really paying you for your skill, as weird as that sounds. So a lot of you think you just have to upgrade your skills, you have to get better, you have to be the best videographer out there to charge more, and that's really not the case. I've talked about this a lot. There are people shooting on their iPhone charging over 10K per month. It's not that they have better skills, it's literally they have better, understanding of how to use value-based pricing for once. They have better sales skills. It really does not actually come down to your skills, right? So I guess what is it at this point, right? So you're literally charging for the value that you provide. And honestly, it's kind of in the name, right? So you're charging for the value that you provide. That's why it's called value-based pricing. So if your video, put simply, can get a client 100K in sales, right? They'll happily pay you 10K per month, right? It's almost like if you put if there's a machine that you found on the side of the road, if you put $1 in and it spits back, let's say $100, right? You would definitely put, $1 in so you could get $100 out, right? Then you just take that money and put it right back into the machine and get, a bigger return, right? So as long as they can see it's a good return on their investment, they'll actually make that investment, if that makes sense. So literally your job is just to convince them that your video is going to get them however much, return. So, put simply, like I said, if you can get them $100,000 in sales, they'll happily pay you $10,000. That's just, rough numbers. It can be anything. It could be, even if you got them, I don't know, 12K in sales, they'd be willing to pay you 5K. So, there's no right number, and obviously I'll get into that in a minute, but that's just a rough idea of how it works, okay? So you're literally charging for the value, okay? You're not charging because you have good skills, you're not charging because you have good gear. The client doesn't care at all if you shoot an iPhone video that looks like, not the best, but it gets them, tons and tons of new sales, right? They just care about the end result, okay? So it's very simple when you think about it, but a lot of videographers go into this, just trying to do what they want to do. Maybe they want to shoot a cinematic video when what the client actually needs is a, just a simple iPhone video that is there for a specific reason, maybe to drive traffic to their website, maybe to boost Instagram engagement, right? So put simply, like I said, you're just charging for the value that you provide. It's simple, but it's not easy to do. That's why most videographers stay broke. They don't understand value-based pricing. So how do you go about doing this? Well, first you have to understand their A point and their B point, okay? So put simply, that's their current situation and their desired situation, okay? So your video is simply just the bridge to that gap. So like we're talking up here, let's say they're at, 50K per month in their business. They're trying to get to 100K per month in their business. That's their A point and their B point. A point is 50K per month. B point is 100K per month, right? Your video is going to take them from 50K per month to 100K per month, right? So that's just very simple terms, right? So your video is just the bridge to that gap. So how do you actually figure out, what their current situation is and their desired situation? Well, it's actually pretty simple, okay? So the sales structure that I follow actually makes this very simple, like I said. So you have the discovery call, the strategy call, and the agreement call, okay? So I've talked about this in other videos, but the discovery call is basically to figure out their current situation and their desired situation. Basically figure out everything about them, right? That's the discovery call. The strategy call is where you're actually going to present the ideas. That's where you're going to charge more for your videos. I'll get into that in a second. And the agreement call is just to sign the agreement or sign the contract. So this basically we're going to be focusing on the discovery call here. So you need to understand their current situation. I keep saying this, their A point and their B point. That's the basics of sales, okay? You're selling the bridge to that gap, okay? So I pulled up a quick, screenshot of the discovery call script that I follow, and I just want to show you roughly what it looks like. So the investigation phase, that's figuring out the current situation. So I'm asking very specific questions to understand where they're at. So, how's your business going? How do you usually get customers? How's your marketing and sales team structured? What are the specific goals you want to hit in the next 6 to 12 months? That's their desired situation, okay? So I'm basically filling out this. I'm asking deeper questions. Let's say they want to hit, 500,000 Instagram followers. Then I'd dig deeper. I'd say, why do you want to hit 500,000 Instagram followers? Oh, well, because we want to drive more sales to the website, or we want to increase engagement, right? You need to ask those questions, figure out their current situation. It's going to be different for everyone, okay? So figure out their current situation, their desired situation. This is just a quick, screenshot of, part of the script. Obviously, there's a lot more to this script. But yeah, big things here, key takeaways from the discovery call is you need to understand their current situation, their desired situation, and their budget. The budget is super important because the strategy call won't actually, work without it, and I'll explain that here in a second. So once you get the budget, you'll schedule the next call. Now, note if you don't get their budget, or if their budget is, under your minimum, you're gonna have to call it off. So basically, put simply, the discovery calls figure out their, current situation, figure out if you're a good fit for each other, okay? If they're not a good fit, you wouldn't schedule another call. So let's say their budget is, we'll say just $1,000, and you won't do video projects for under $1,000. Well, you wouldn't schedule another strategy call. So basically, you need to figure out what your minimum price is that you're not going to go under. So let's say, your time is worth, more than other videographers. You might not take on a project for $1,000 just because that's too low. You're not going to work smaller projects like that. So, you need to figure out your minimum price and do not go under that at all costs, right? So as long as they give you a budget that's above your minimum price, then you'll just schedule the strategy call and move forward, okay? So either call off the next call if it's, they give you too small of a budget, or handle the objection and get a higher price out of them, okay? So that was kind of hard to explain. Hopefully that made sense. Yeah, I can get into that another time in another video. But then you're going to move on to the strategy call, okay? So the strategy call is basically where you're going to present the ideas, okay? So what you're going to do is you're going to present 3 strategies, not one like a lot of people do. You're going to do 3. Now, why are we doing 3? Well, we're doing 3 because it's actually, it's a lot of psychology, and I'll explain why here in a second, okay? So you're going to put the lowest package as their max budget, okay? So let's say they gave you a budget of $5,000, okay? Your lowest package is going to start at $5,000. Then you're going to have a medium package, and a higher package, right? The highest is going to be way out of their budget. So let's say they gave you a $5,000 budget, you might put the highest package at $15,000 or $10,000, okay? So it's going to be out of their budget, and I'll explain why in a second. Then the middle one is really going to depend on, whether or not you actually want to get them more likely to buy the higher package or the lower package, and here's why. So let's say, I'll show you an example. So this is a pitch deck of, a past client that I did. I just want to pull this up to give you an example of how this kind of works. So this was one of my past pitch decks, and you can see for the first one, they gave me a budget of $5,000. So that's where it started, right? The second one is $8,000, and the third one is $10,000, okay? So going back to what I was saying, the middle one is really going to depend on if you're trying to sell the highest package or the lowest package. So in this case, I was really pushing for the higher package because I put the $8,000 right here closer to the $10,000, right? That's only $2,000 more, and they'll get the premium package, right? Let's say I was pushing for the first package, right? Or I was, more convinced that they'd go with something lower. Then maybe I'd, put this budget at, I don't know, 6 or 7K, right? That means they're more likely to choose this one or this one, right? Hopefully that made sense. I can explain that another time as well, just trying to get through this and make it as informational as possible. So hopefully that makes sense. It's basically, you need to understand their, current situation, their desired situation, and you're literally just selling the value that you bring, right? And you can't sell the value if you don't understand where they're at, okay? So that's why this, structure is so important. The discovery call, you're going to figure out everything about them. The strategy call, you're going to actually sell them on the ideas. So some action steps for this video, okay? So first things first, you're going to download and practice the discovery call script. So I'll show you how to get access to that in a second. But basically, if you spend all this time getting clients and you hop on a call with them, you might, chances are if you're new to this, you're probably just going to butcher the call. You're not going to know how to handle objections. Let's say they give you, a $500 budget. You're not going to know how to actually get more budget from them. A lot of times people have more budget, but you just don't know how to handle the objections. So you have to practice the calls, practice these scripts, practice objections, practice handling the objections, right? Next, you need to determine your minimum price that you won't go under. So figure that out, sit down with a pen and paper and figure out, the average, cost that it takes for a project, the average, time. Basically, you need to add up your hourly rate, figure out what your time is worth, figure out how much time goes into, production, pre-production, post-production, figure out, the minimum price that you're not going to go under for a project, and set that. So then when you're going into a discovery call, you're not going to go under a certain price. Because if you don't do that, you're going to be, taking these projects, and then you get to the end of the project and you realize you actually lost money, okay? And that happens to a lot of us. So you need to make sure you have a minimum price, determine that, and do not go under it, right? And then the last thing is to anchor high. So I was talking about that here. We anchored high in the pitch deck. Another way you can do this is when you're in the discovery call trying to get their budget. A lot of times they're not going to want to give it to you. So they'll say, well, how much does a video cost, right? And that's where you can anchor high. So instead of saying, well, maybe we can do it on the high end for 1,000, on the low end we can do it for 300. That's what I used to do. Instead, you anchor way higher. So you could say, yeah, so on the low end, we could do projects for 10K. We can also do projects for 50K, right? It really depends on what you're looking for. Then when they try to anchor low and they give you a 3, 4, 5K budget, that's still, in your budget, or like you can still take that, but it's not going to be, a lot lower, right? Hopefully that made sense. So you need to anchor high. When you anchor high, even if they anchor low, it's still going to be higher than you were originally asking. Does that make sense? It's been a long day. It's hard to explain. So I can always re-explain that. If you have questions, feel free to leave it in the comments. Just tell me to re-explain that. But hopefully that made sense. You just want to anchor high. When you start with a higher, budget, it's going to make a lower number seem, or a higher number seem lower, okay? So these are the action steps. So how do you actually access the assets, like the scripts? Well, I actually created a free school community where I'm actually giving out lots and lots of free resources. So if you want to click the link, under this video, there's going to be a description of kind of what's in the course or the community. It's completely free. I'm not charging for it at the moment. And for the first 15 people, it's going to be lifetime access for free. So you can see there's live calls. Okay, there's call recordings. Got the 6-figure sales system, scripts, templates, contracts, video trainings. So that's going to be like courses and one-on-one support. So there's going to be tons and tons of stuff in this community. And for the first 15 people, this is literally a gold mine. So get in here fast. The seats are going really, really fast. So for the scripts, basically it's as simple as going in here and you got the discovery call script right here. So you can download that and practice it. And the nice thing is, I was saying you need to practice it. The problem with practicing it with a friend is they're not really going to be able to give you feedback. That's why I created this community, is because we're actually going to practice in these live group coaching calls. We'll actually practice the script. So you can get the reps in, you can get practice, and when you can nail these, calls, when you can get good at it before you're actually, on a call with a client, then you're going to get really good at it. So we practice these live in the community for completely free. So you can download the scripts and you can also hop on these live calls and practice these scripts with us. So it's gonna be super helpful. And like I said, it's only free for the first 15 people. So get in here fast. It's gonna be very, very valuable stuff. So hopefully this was helpful. Hopefully I explained value-based pricing pretty well. Sorry some of it didn't make sense. If you have questions, feel free to leave it in the comments or shoot me a DM. And otherwise, I'll hopefully see you here in the school community. So that should be it for this video. I'll catch y'all next time. Peace.